Right. Anyway, next. What's going on here? Fall
Good
so
evening.
hard. The Epstein files. We have the dumbest person in the rooms take on Epstein.
My
Thank
fellow
goodness.
Goyam. How's that?
Thank goodness.
How's that? I've decided that when you guys actually move to elect me the dictator of the United States, or maybe the dictator of the world, that's how I will greet you guys every night and bring you the news. I don't know how your weekend went, but I was marked safe from being in the Epstein files. Me,
Greetings,
Ye,
Goys.
the artist formerly known as Kanye West, we were marked safe. Boy, oh boy, were we
I don't even think that's
right.
true.
We were so right. This
Ryan
podcast,
Dawson.
can I just say,
Ryan Dawson literally forwarded you an email about some nutcase killing themselves, and you're named. So
that it's actually aging like fine wine? Because this was me on like Thursday of last week.
that's actually not true.
This is the synagogue of Satan. I do not go halfway with defending pedophiles. Goodbye. Are you out of your minds? I hate all of you. I think you guys are all part of the same demonic entity.
Michael.
Your God is Satan.
Bitch.
You guys are Baal worshippers. You will continue to kill and sacrifice children until you feel that demon rewards you. And I stand against
Candace,
you.
Literally the dumbest
this is how I feel
person
about
in the
people.
room.
They are
Speaking
satanic
on that
right
shit. Let's
and
go.
left at the top. I'm kind of feeling like I actually
Wow, black woman wasn't part of the elite Aura Club. Shocker. Yeah.
didn't go hard enough.
What?
Anyway, today we are going
Epstein
next,
didn't hang
like
out with
always.
you?
Welcome back to Candace.
Why? Why? What? Nah, come on. I don't believe it. It's too hard to believe. Truth stranger than fiction, huh?
Start with the obligatory question. Are we still talking about the Epstein files? Are we still talking about those Epstein files? Yes, actually, we are, Trump. We are, man. I can't believe you're tangled up in this, that you would keep this a secret to protect
please
the
let,
elites,
like,
knowing
Dave
what
Smith
you know,
randomly
what you
be
most
caught in it.
definitely
That'd be
know
so
that
funny.
they are up to. Because if we know, how could you not know?
Please.
You know who was not
Please.
surprised at all while reading through the Epstein files?
Just let her
Any
good
person
juice.
that's been
Let her
watching this
producer
show,
be in there.
and of course the people, especially the people that are in my book club. Shout out to the people that are in the book club, because the book that we are currently reading is
Oh my gosh, they've started their fourth book in 5 years. Wow, that's huge. Wow.
so
That's
on
crazy.
time right now. Quite literally, we're completing this book on Friday. Sigmund Freud and the Jewish mystical tradition. After
Literally
having
the
read
dumbest-
previously the assault on
literally
truth,
the
those
dumbest
people were not
book.
surprised at all.
Holy
because I
shit.
took you through it. What Sigmund
Literally,
Freud and his B'nai B'rith
gotta be
Freemason
actually-
boys actually believe about you. What
She
they
doesn't
believe,
know when Sigmund
how they
Freud
have
was
accomplished
born.
things. This false dialectic.
She doesn't-
Their means to accomplish running Western society, breaking apart Christian empires. Yes, he hated Christians. It's a fact. He wrote about it extensively. He hated Catholics. And yes, they perform rituals. That is not an imagination. It's not a conspiracy. The only conspiracy are those that are colluding to hide those
false
facts. And now we can
dialectric.
really stick our noses down at them.
It's the false
And no, I want to be
dialectric.
clear. This is not Judaism. This isn't your grandma's
Oh
Judaism.
my gosh.
It's occult mysticism. That's the way that it's
It's
able to move through seemingly all the
Dionysianism.
faith, right?
It's
Aleister
actually
Crowley.
Dionysianism.
Well, how could you have the
Dionysianism.
Star of David once upon a time? What was it? Before 1914, that was the flag of
Oh my
Morocco. That's
goyim.
weird. That's not a Jewish nation.
Oh
What does it
my
actually
goyim.
symbolize? Occult mysticism. That's why
Oh
it's
my
on the cover of
goyim.
Aleister Crowley's books.
Oh my
It's gonna perform
goyim.
magic and rituals. And yes, sorry guys, gotta wake up. It's a Monday. We gotta get you there.
Oh my
They deem
goyim.
children to be a necessary part of their initiation rituals. This I'm going to read from you is actually a direct
not
quotation
even-
from Sigmund Freud. Okay,
Who?
person that was hailed as a hero. We were in
Who?
high school.
Who does that? Who?
This I'm going to read from you is actually a direct quotation from Sigmund Freud. Okay, the person that was hailed as a hero. We were in high school and middle school, and he's the father of.
Sigmund Freud is funny because he basically this is my opinion about Sigmund Freud is it was that eating the fly. That's so cool. The thing about Sigmund Freud is he actually was a prude that despised. This is crazy because people think it's the opposite, but I think he was a prude who despised sex, was actually very anti and did not like it, but his shadow was marred by this this sort of like, what's the word? When you are self-conscious, but not self-conscious, insecure. It was like an insecurity that Sigmund Freud had. What the fuck is this? And because of that, he projected it outwards, and that's why all of his, I mean, not all of it, but a major portion of his you know, psychiatry and his focus was on like psychosexual theories and constantly thinking about the Oedipus complex, the edifice. I always say Oedipus. The edifice. The am I now? Which one is right? Now I don't. Now I'm forgetting which one's right. The the one, you know, from the guy after the Antigone. He has to go solve the riddle of the Sphinx to find out where he's from, because the Oracle tells his dad that he's going to overthrow him if he's allowed to grow up. So his dad hides him in another country, and he figures out who sent him away from his family, but he's not told that it's his parents. And he goes and he ends up overthrowing his father because he was sent away. And then after overthrowing his father, who didn't know that was his son, he fucks his mom because he doesn't know that it's his mom. And so that's like that's where they named that after, right? Okay. That's why he's obsessed with that, because he was Jewish. He was taught that, you know, the sexual stuff is wrong, but he was also surrounded by hypocritical Jews and a hypocritical, you know, variant of both being religiously Jewish and being sort of sexual liberators and abusive and whatever. And because he was surrounded by these things, he was conflicted by it, and his shadow was dominated by it, and he was dominated by his shadow. And so he was obsessed with, you know, writing sex into everything, because that's what he saw in everything, because that's what he feared, right? That's like obviously true. If you read about him, if you read what he says, if you don't read like a random schizophrenic book about how he's a Kabbalistic pedophile or something that is a Frankist Jew, Dionysian sex cultist, if you don't read that, if you just read what he says, that's like totally obvious. And that's why he was perverted. And that's why, you know, he was dominated by this. And yeah, that's just obviously true. And women just are retarded. So they will hear that he, you know, thinks that everything is dominated by sex. And they on some level also have the same shadow, right? Because they are told it's wrong, told it's not good, but also are surrounded by people wanting them to give sex and rewarding it, and a culture that does, but, you know, that tells them. So they have a similar thing as him, and they don't like when they see, you know, him displaying that outwardly, and addressing it and all of this. So that's why women are obsessed with him, and they freak out, and they either really like him or they really hate him, one or the other. I think he probably, you know, had a lot of stuff that's not that useful, and that is sort of projection, and thinking that everything is only dominated by sex is a very reductionist thing, that's like the main driving urge. That's very reductionist and silly. But I don't think you can write off everything he did, obviously, because like everything else is built upon it. And it's not all just built upon the sexual stuff. There was tons and tons and tons of other theories and research that he had, you know, written about, that he taught about. he was a predecessor and mentor to Carl Jung, who had a totally different, takeaway and did not believe that everything was driven by sex or whatever, but also wasn't sort of like totally followed around. That wasn't Carl Jung's shadow, so he didn't see that everywhere. He wasn't writing that into everything, right? Anyway, so that's why Candace thinks that. That's why that's like her obsession. That's why she's writing Sigmund Freud into it, because she heard, literally, I'm so serious. You can just tell this is true. She heard one time it be described that, or it be explained to her that Sigmund Freud is, the father of modern day psychiatry, and that's where the sexual liberation and sexual theories come from, right? And so she just, from that day on, knew he was a pedophile. And then they hear about how Sigmund Freud also wrote about men and women first having sort of a sexual arousal or awareness coming from their parents, which I don't think is true, right? Like, that's something that I would disagree with him on, but that he, believed to be true. And they think because of that, he is also, I mean, this isn't like what they think. This is very Candace. This is like Candace Owens theory. I mean, I guess she's getting it from this book, but I mean, you can watch where this comes from. You can like put these pieces together and like piece together what each of these obsessions, where each of the obsessions came from, right? And so it's like Sigmund Freud, and then the the parental sexual theories, right? And then she's hearing about like the occult. She's hearing about like child sacrifice. She's not even hearing about the actual original stuff. She doesn't even know what Pizzagate is. She has like a vague idea of like, oh, the elites are like fucking kids, kind of, or something. Thinks that that's just Epstein, that's just what that is, I guess, right? Alone. Has like a vague idea of that, and then is hearing like, well, Sigmund Freud's the father of modern day psychiatry, so he must have convinced everyone that children just want to be molested by their parents. And then she's piecing together her other obsession, which is the Macrons, the French, Brigitte Macron being apparently a man, and then as she later became, started believing, is Emmanuel Macron's father who is gay raping him. So now it's not even the original Freudian psychosexual theory, and it's not the original, parental sexual theory where not that the parents are supposed to, and not that the parents have that, but that he was saying that is where that's first, kids are first taught to love that opposite parental figure, right? Now it's not even that. Now it's like, no, he was actually saying that it's so that you're supposed to get gay raped by your dad to be initiated into the Babylonian mystery cult that are the Frankists, because she likes some Jews and her producer's Jewish, and the Scientologists are telling her that maybe or something, because I don't think Scientologists are anti-Semitic, but they hate a bunch of people that happen to be Jews, and they hate, psychiatry and whatever. So I'm sure that's being pushed on her, because there is that Scientology connection. All of these things form together, little bits and pieces. She's pretending to read about it. She's pretending to know about what's going on. Again, she has a book club. You can go look at the book list. She's had the book club for like 5 years. There are like 4 titles on it, okay? They have read 4 titles and are now starting their 5th title. Like, come on. Like, this is... She doesn't know anything. She's retarded. Anyway, could she articulate the way she arrived there herself? I don't think so. And I think that she would, somewhere along the line, start insinuating that she intuited it, either that she had it in a dream. I'm not kidding. I'm not saying that just because she said that before. I think that if you actually had her try to explain it, she would literally start telling you that she saw these things in imagery in her dreams, right? And she would just be convinced that that's like where she got it from or something. I don't think that she has, you know, the line in her mind of where she got all these ideas from. I'm sure. Top right shows Minecraft. Oh yeah. You didn't think so? Not one. No one try that. No one try that. Jimbo, would you ever fuck side by side with your parents? No. Nope. What's this? FPAC 2026. Facts. Facts. You miss. All right. Anyway, next.
Modern psychology. Yeah, guys, that's kind of the problem. That is kind of the problem, actually. Anyway, to contextualize this, he's writing a letter to his best friend, also the person he was having.
What did Sigmund Freud say?
We were in high school and middle school, and he's the father of modern psychology. Yeah, guys, that's kind of the problem.
He literally is.
Kind of the problem, actually. Anyway, to contextualize this, he's writing a letter to his best friend, also the person he was having a gay affair with, who mentored him, Wilhelm Fliess. Now, I should skip to the part and tell you Wilhelm Fliess also molested his own son, Robert Fliess. Robert Fliess spoke about that when he got older. But Sigmund Freud is writing to Wilhelm Fliess after he gets initiated, because they wait until you're 36 to initiate you into the occult mystic Kabbalah.
Can you read the quote
I'm going to read you what he
from
writes.
Sigmund
He's referring
Freud?
to a patient who he previously hadn't understood before his initiation, who came in, and she spoke to him about what she experienced when she was a child. He writes, imagine I obtained a scene, which means a patient was speaking to him about this, about the circumcision of a girl, the cutting of a piece of her labia, sucking up the blood, following which the child was given a piece of the skin to eat. He then fast forwards and he says, I dream therefore of a primeval devil religion whose rites are carried on secretly, and I understand the harsh therapy of the witches' judges. And then he speaks about this.
Are you retarded? Are you He's saying that that's a bad thing.
It is implying here, by the way, this we are so anti-Semitism proof. This book was written by a guy who was the director of the Freud archives. He read Freud's unpublished works and determined that, yeah, Freud knew that the children were being abused in Vienna, and he created a social science, psychology, to help gaslight those children. This is what you got to be aware of. This is all real. It's not imagined. These are not kooky people on the internet that are telling you this, quite the opposite. And then this guy, Jason Masson, who writes this book, writes that Freud is implying here that the Sabbats were real events, part of a ritualized religion in which sexual perversions were acted out. So he was aware that this was happening. And in case you are not aware, Sigmund Freud, the background story there is wild. That's literally not. Right? He was once.
You don't have reading comprehension. You are retarded. The things that you've just read don't mean what you are saying they mean.
An outcast in the very tight-knit, perverted psychology club in Vienna, because he told the truth. He went to the morgue. He examined children who had died after they were horrifically murdered and sexually assaulted. And then he also saw patients who were children who were still alive, who were telling him these stories about what they lived through. And he had determined after speaking to these children that they were all telling the truth. And so he gets ostracized from the psychology community. He's like, no, this is actually happening, and it's also incestuous. And they go, get out of here. You can't be with us. You can't publish this paper.
Where does he say that?
Oh no, what would the goyim think?
Where the fuck does he say that?
He actually did publish his findings. And like I said, the pervert turned on him. Then remarkably, at the age of 36, he partakes in a ritual during which he's welcomed into the club, and he changes his mind, and he writes to Wilhelm Fliess that he now understands. Okay, so that's what I just read to you. Like he now understands what is happening, and that is why you need to wake up and recognize that this is what is happening.
He was initiated into a mystery cult,
and what he's referring to are ancient pagan festivals and ceremonies.
Where the fuck
that center around the Earth's cycles of death.
You see, like she loves the obscure, just like idea, like just drumming up retarded imagery in your head of some mysterious. It's like when people say the mystery cults, you know, the Babylonian mystery cults, the mystery cults. And it's like in your head, that's like not descriptive, because what does that even mean? There's like a bunch of those, and they're not really that mysterious. It's like you can go read about Mithraism, you can go read about any of those things. You know, it's you can't just say, I mean, you can group those things together as mystery cults, because they're mysterious because it's not clear where they arose from. It's like they don't have a clear lineage or where they went or whatever. That's sort of, you know, that's why it's not Roman paganism. It's not like the classic Roman paganism. It's not like the classic Greeks. It's not like any of those. They're offshoots and mysterious momentary cults in like history. This is just retarded.
And rebirth. And so to make this extra clear to you, we are not in a war between monotheistic faiths. The people that we are fighting are effectively pagan gypsies who have been wearing the cloak of Judaism, I would say, since the fall of the missing Khazarian Empire. The Khazars were a nomadic
Dave
Turkic
Smith's
tribe
not Jewish,
who adopted Judaism in
and
the
black
8th
people
century.
are.
Now, Freud, this part is important. We're going to get to what's in Epstein's emails because, man, if I didn't tell you guys the truth, Freud himself was a racist, okay? He was a part, like I said, of the Freemason group B'nai B'rith, which had, if you don't know what B'nai B'rith is, you got to wake up, especially if you're in America, okay?
It's just Jewish Freemasonry.
It's Jewish supremacists. They had everything to do with the Civil War in America. They excel at creating the false dialectic, the North versus the South, the left versus the right. Ulysses S. Grant notoriously expelled Jews from his military district, Tennessee, Mississippi, Kentucky.
Okay.
You think he was just like what, another
Frankists.
white supremacist? Everyone's just a white supremacist. I mean, another, well, they would have called him a white supremacist, or he was anti-Semitic. Everybody's just anti-Semitic. No, this had everything to do with what they were cooking up at these lodges, B'nai B'rith. That then subsequently became the ADL after the ritualistic murder of a Catholic girl named Mary Fagan. There is no hiding that anymore. I don't care if Dennis Prager is going to write another letter and say, that's not true. This case is not real. It's happened so many times.
Dude, don't do that nasal voice. I hate you so much.
Holiday season,
Fuck you.
all throughout history, that it is getting ridiculous to not acknowledge that this is true and this is real. And the Epstein files create an opportunity for us to discuss this, to hear the way they speak about us behind closed doors, exactly how Sigmund Freud spoke.
Ulysses, Kentucky.
Racist, right? I want to make it clear that this is for them a religious philosophy, a racist perspective that we are goyim, meaning cattle that are meant to be herded and ruled over. I said this at the end of last year. I said this is how I am being.
And these aren't Jews, but Dave Smith is a Jew, but also he is related to the people I'm talking about. Like you could find his ancestral connection to Sigmund Freud. So
being treated because I don't listen to them. Hence their psychotic, obsessive, and frankly, their evil manner in which they have confronted me simply trying to move on in my life after realizing I don't want to work for Zionist psychopaths. I just don't want to do that if that's cool. To them, that's akin to a buck that won't break. How dare you?
Break that buck.
They feel as maybe you or I would feel if an animal beat us at a game of chess. That's what it feels like when Candace is just like, peace, I'm out, and her life is not subsequently ruined and over. And they will keep publishing things and calling me names. Everything she's saying is an anti-Semitic conspiracy until the emails drop. And Jeffrey Epstein, who worked on behalf of the Rothschilds, according to him, he wrote that in an email, the Rothschilds, who credit themselves with having created which nation state? Oh, right, Israel.
Ooh, Israel.
The same nation state that is having a bunch of women say that they were ritualistically abused in a forest by rabbis. That's happening in the Knesset right now, that nation state, saying that they were 3, 4 years old when this happened. He's saying, those are my
Yes.
bosses, the Rothschilds. And here is a brief, but by no means an extensive coverage video that was put together by, I assume this guy must be Goy, right? Goy? Seem Goy? TikToker Contrarian put this together. Take a listen.
Israel is mentioned twice as much as Donald Trump in the new documents. Here he is discussing with Roger Schank, a Jewish American academic and hedge fund worker.
What is she
Jews
saying?
create
What
vast
was
fortunes
that
by
a transition? She's saying Epstein worked for the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds created Israel, and that's bad because Orthodox Jews were like raping women in Israel like last month or something. Like
manipulating markets and
Beerson
creating
in
financial
chat.
speculation
Beerson.
and exploiting labor. He says, let the Goyim deal in the real.
I was gonna snap a pic, but it was a wolf and it looked aggressive. Seeing a furry in the Chick-fil-A was crazy, not gonna lie, says Beerson. That's insane.
World. In a discussion with the Rothschild family, Epstein says if they overthrew the Ukrainian government,
Is she
there would
saying
be
that?
great
Yeah, that was
opportunities.
her.
The
that
Rothschild
was
family
her
paid
line of
Epstein $25 million for certain algorithms. While talking to Peggy Seigel, August 7th of 2010, she asks if an event is going to be 100% Jewish. He says no, they'll have Goyim in abundance.
Slut.
But don't worry, they're just brilliant wasps from JP Morgan. Joshua Finkelstein, BlackRock's Larry Finkelstein's son, is accused of not having any respect for non-Jews, seeing them as not human.
Don't worry, these
This
guys
is
are
from
cool.
his ex-girlfriend,
These guys are
Svetlana.
cool.
He pressures her to have an abortion. In 2017, Epstein has a conversation talking about if
These
you
are
want to
good
hire
guys.
the best people, you have to hire only Jews. Only hire those who can prove they are genetically Jewish. Maria Farmer, one of the first victims to come out and name Epstein.
I wasn't allowed to go get food. And when I called Ghislaine and asked why I couldn't eat there, she said, it's a Jewish country club. You're not Jewish. They're not going to serve you. They, honest to God, think their DNA is better than everybody else's.
Said that
Wow.
their operation was motivated by Jewish supremacy.
Wow. Frankists.
Anybody
Fucking
gonna say that that's
Frankists.
not real anymore? Hey, really bad time, Rob McCoy, who wrote a public letter accusing me of being anti-Semite. Can you
Oh my gosh. Like, can you not talk about whoever the fuck I don't even know. I still don't know who the McCoys are. Can you go one episode without talking about them?
some of that energy
Please.
towards Israel, your masters? Because I won't have them be mine. I can't. I recognize it for what it is. It's using money, finances to whip people into
Stop
shape, so to
doing
speak.
that
I know,
nasally
like I
voice,
said,
you
the history,
fucking
the true
bitch. I hate
history
you.
of the slave trade, and the amazing ability to write themselves out every time
I
is
hate that.
really
I
special.
hate
It's super
that.
unique. And like I said, if you want to know what happened to America, you have to start to
Bitch.
trace the lineage of the B'nai B'rith lodges. Look at, I mean, probably books, obviously, that you would never, ever be able to read in high school. You have to start to conduct research independently.
They would never
Ben
let
Shapiro's
you
family,
read these in
ancestors,
high
B'nai B'rith,
school.
Okay, Barry Weiss,
They
B'nai
don't-
B'rith. That's why when you see these
They
differences,
don't allow you to read
and,
the
amongst
books you
Jewish
want in
people,
high school.
they want you to make the mistake of thinking that this is
When you're
what
in high
all
school-
Jews are doing, and it's not true. Okay, there's such a fundamental difference between a Dave Smith
wouldn't let you.
and a Ben Shapiro. I have a suspicion that I could quit working. Like if I just texted Dave Smith and I said, I don't want to be friends or ever work together in any capacity ever again, I gotta feel like he would just let me move on in my life. I got this suspicion that he wouldn't. But you could see that there's like something else brewing when it comes to people like Barry Weiss and Ben Shapiro. They can't let these things go because they view themselves as supposed to be over us, right? And they also won't criticize people like Jeffrey Epstein. Now, in case you did not pay attention to what was termed Pizzagate back in 2016,
finally discovered
the
it.
short of
She's
it is that
finally
the DNC
learned.
email server got hacked. And
She's
off of
finally
those
discovered
emails,
it. Please talk about-
they were published publicly by
Frazzle
Julian
Drip,
Assange, WikiLeaks,
please.
and there was a strange amount of references to pizza parties,
Please.
grown adult men, government employees, men,
Please talk about
referring to pizza in
Frazzle
ways
Drip.
and
Speak on
within a
that.
context that
Don't
made
let them
it
hide
seem as
it.
though they obviously were not referring to literal pizza, having had parties on ranches and referring to pizza. I'm going to give you an example here. This email went to John Podesta. It was sent to him from someone named Catherine Tate. These are very old, obviously, or else we would have hidden her email. She writes, "Hi, John. The realtor found a handkerchief. I think it has a map that seems pizza related. Is it yours? They can send it if you want. I know you're busy, so feel free not to respond if it's not yours or you don't want it. Also, weird specific orders of pizza and hot dogs. That was the beginning of that entire scandal.
She's finally
that they tried
discovered
to downplay and pretend that it was crazy. Well,
Pizzagate.
I should let you know the FBI has already formally
referring to pizza.
formally acknowledged that
already
pizza
retired,
is
yeah,
used as
already.
a code word amongst pedophiles. So that's not an illusion. That's real. No conspiracy needed. Epstein emails, people are diving back in there. What are we to make of these 900 plus emails referring to pizza in real ways? You guys can look through these yourself, okay? Of course, there are
Dude,
the
my cats
Jeffrey
are just
Epstein
sprinting
emails,
across the place.
emails which we're never going to see, and photos that we're never going to see regarding murder, killing people, calls to kill people. I'm sure they're going to explain this away. Everybody's joking all the time. Todd Blanche has already come out and said that they're sparing us the videos. So we should just assume that there are graphic videos that pertain to death based on his statement. And I'm going to pivot here to just one example of a very strange email, which was covered by James Lee. Take a listen.
Why is this name redacted? You would think the DOJ would want to investigate someone who sent an email to Jeffrey Epstein saying, quote, "I give you permission to kill him." Well, thankfully for all of us, the DOJ sucks at their job, and there's actually another version of that email that is less redacted, or more accurately, poorly redacted. Check this out.
Comment,
I give
like
you
what?
permission to kill him. He
Did
is
she mention
apparently with Olga.
Alphonsus?
He
No.
lied to you.
No,
he
she's
lied
skipping
to
over
me.
this.
And you can kind of make
Her
out the name
point
here to be
is
one
to talk about
Susan.
Pizzagate. Like literally, she's going to talk about Pizzagate for 3 seconds to just allude to it, so that she can say they said pizza in the Epstein files and the 300,000 emails or whatever. So they're raping kids or whatever. Which like.
Hamblin. Here's an enhanced image. You could read right there, Susan Hamblin. So who is Susan Hamblin? Well, she is evidently a financial advisor and founder of the adoption agency Kids to Families. Looks like the agency no longer exists, but I was able to find this archive in the Wayback Machine. At this point, we still don't know who Olga is, but according to reporting, it says that the only time the name has come up in the Epstein case is when his former lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, recounted getting a massage from a woman of the same name at Epstein's place. Now, interestingly, a few years ago, Susan Hamblin sued News Group newspapers, the publisher of The Sun, who had printed that Susan Hamblin had groomed and procured a 16-year-old woman to be sexually abused by Epstein and told her that Epstein would kill her and her family if she told anyone what Epstein had done. They've since removed those articles and agreed to pay her a substantial compensation. But one Sue Hamblin can be seen in this photo with Jeffrey Epstein describing her to be his alleged assistant, as well as this photo of her leaving Jeffrey Epstein's New York City apartment describing her as a long-term confidant. A lot of stuff going on here, but the lesson is that this is all information that the DOJ wants to hide from us.
Oh
but
my
thank
gosh, they're
goodness
covering
the
it up.
internet is still undefeated.
Also, I love that he's wearing a CIA t-shirt. James, great work. So many independent journalists, thankfully for independent journalists, or this would have all been buried. I mean, if you just look to what the public was trying to say, they've even been trying to rehabilitate some of these people. Alan Dershowitz, it's unbelievable that this man has gone through so many people like Mark Levin and, of course, Barry Weiss.
Let's go.
Always the staunch defenders of Israel. Nothing to see here, nothing to look at. People, this was going viral this weekend, people rightfully going back and examining Ben Shapiro, once again, working diligently, as he did with Pizzagate, to tell people to dismiss the Epstein emails because he had sources and everything we needed to know was already out. Take a listen.
She went out there and claimed there were tens of thousands of hours of tape. There are, by the way, but they are child pornography. The reason the FBI is not releasing them is because those tapes do not include underage people with third parties on Epstein Island. That is not what the tapes are. Okay, I also have sources in the federal government who are covering this stuff and have seen the documents. Okay, those tapes are just child porn. That's all. That's what they are. That's why the FBI is
just
not
wasted
releasing
all
them.
that obsidian. Oh,
Okay, as far as the Epstein list, what I have been told by my sources is that there is no Epstein list. That basically there's a black book of Jeffrey Epstein contacts. And the vast majority of those contacts are already out there publicly. That's why you know names like Prince Andrew or Alan Dershowitz or some of the names that have been mentioned here. Those contacts, there is no evidence, according to the DOJ and the FBI, and again, that's public, There's no evidence that any of those third parties were having girls trafficked to them. Okay, that is not evidence that was made clear, certainly, to the DOJ or the FBI. Here is Tucker then asserting that it was actually Mossad. Again, without evidence, that not a shock.
Enrich
of
that
course,
shit.
this is where Tucker was
Yeah.
going. This has become the hot speculation on the internet, is without evidence. You say that Mossad was running Jeffrey Epstein. When I say without evidence, I mean without evidence. Naftali Bennett, the former Israeli prime minister, said,
Yes.
quote,
Ben Shapiro's retarded. We
as a
know.
former Israeli prime
But so
minister,
are you,
with
bitch.
Mossad having reported directly to
Fucking
me,
idiot.
I say to you with 100% certainty, the accusation that Jeffrey Epstein somehow worked for Israel or the Mossad running a blackmail ring is categorically and totally false. This accusation is a lie being peddled by prominent online personalities such as Tucker Carlson, pretending they know things they don't. And in fact, I followed up with the former prime minister, Naftali Bennett, and what he told me is that Mossad has not been active in the United States or against the United States since the Jonathan Pollard scandal of
Thank
1987,
goodness.
when a U.S. Army contractor who's actually working for the Navy revealed classified information to the Israeli government. He was prosecuted by the United States government and ended up in prison.
I need to watch this whole
almost
clip.
30
It's
years.
hilarious.
And so Israel since then has not spied on the United
Please
States
kill
and
you.
Mossad.
You're the worst.
Okay, guys. Oh, there you have it. It's just. I don't
It's
know how he does it with a
laughable.
straight face. I'm
It's
just like,
laughable.
well, anyway, guys,
Kill
there's
yourself,
millions of females, but
please.
don't even like. It's like
Please
Mossad
fucking
hasn't
blow
been
your
doing
brains out.
nothing.
Please.
I know it
hate
seems weird
you.
because BB's like always here or whatever, and we seem to be doing their bidding everywhere.
Holy shit,
But the Mossad
please.
just like said in the night days, they were like, I'm a chill, and they haven't done a single thing here at all. I know it might look that way. Miriam Adel said. She doesn't
was
even know their
not
name. She doesn't know
funny.
who they are, actually. She's doing her thing, and she's giving Trump $200 million, but it ain't
was
got nothing to
not
do with the
funny at
Mossad.
all.
So I just wanted to bring you that stunning
You
report.
stupid bitch.
From Ben Shapiro. Thank you for clarifying, Benjamin. Nicki Minaj also went off in a series of tweets after it was revealed that Jay-Z was mentioned in one of the emails. Now, I'm going to wait for a little more information regarding this email because I don't want to be first to publish, because they are now saying that some of these emails came in later when people were allowed to then just flood the FBI with reports. That might not be right either. So just give me some more time to look into it. But the point is Jay-Z was mentioned here, and it was in the context of being with Harvey Weinstein, watching somebody be assaulted. I'll definitely have more for you guys. And basically a bunch of people rightfully unfollowed Jay-Z. I have not been a Jay-Z fan for a very long time. It is very obvious. He sold us out to the feds. He's clearly working for the feds. I have
Ooh, he
always
sold
believed
who
that
out?
the individual that came
You think your audience is black? Like, what the who? Sold who?
forward and
Or bro
honest
Harvey?
about what was happening with
Literally
Diddy
a planned
and
laugh.
Cass,
Like,
and
isn't
talking
she
about
the
how
one
the
who
feds
planned the
do deal
show?
with
Yes,
rappers. They
literally.
give them tons of money and then they move drugs in. That just felt like the correct thing. Like my assumption when it came to Jay-Z was obviously what he was involved in. And so, yeah, Nicki Minaj had a lot to say because she feels vindicated in many ways about speaking about how the hip hop industry works, that you have to get involved with a lot of this stuff. And if you don't, they will essentially blackball you. And you know what? Ye has spoken about how you get blackballed in
He's
the industry.
speaking about that.
He was obviously too sleepy and never got to those tweets that he was going to author because he was very tired and he needed a nap, but he was about to let loose on a bunch of people who were doing the blackballing. And I do very much believe that Jay-Z is a part of that. That, like I said, feels to me like common sense. And I think more will come out and people are unfollowing him. Anyways, here's what Nicki Minaj had to say. She
Give me a
wrote,
second
your
one of
favorite
those.
artist has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries and mutilate and kill them as a form of blood sacrifice to their god.
Oh, Nicki
You
said
see,
it?
when your master is Satan, you must
My
constantly
goat, Nicki
shed
Minaj
blood.
said it?
However,
Okay.
the
All right,
jig
you win,
is
Candace.
up. And
You win.
Yeah, she's
You right. Queen.
not the first person in Hollywood to say
Beat 'em
that.
up.
I mean, every time we show you things, even when we showed you the CERN activity that was happening, which somebody caught on tape, they just came out and were like, oh, we were just faking. That was just like fun. That's what scientists do. They dress up in the middle of the night and pretend to stab women before a statue.
Probably
of
literally,
Shiva.
honest, I am understanding
That's kind
it.
of
I'm
what they
getting
told
it.
us about CERN. I just don't know how
That's
much
beta type
could be
shit.
in our
That's
face
literally-
anymore before we wake up and realize
That's
these
actually
people are ruling
literally
over
just
us,
beta type shit. Let's
and
be for
they
real.
win when we're fighting with each other. That's just the reality. I really don't see how you can have a ton of success in Hollywood and
She
not
knows
be in
'cause
the
she was
club,
a part of
because
it.
Hollywood was founded upon this. Hollywood Babylon. We spoke to you about
Oh
this.
my gosh,
In our book
stop.
club, they quite literally imported people from
She's
Vienna,
read 4
where
books. I
Sigmund Freud
swear
was, where his
she's
boys
read
were.
4
They
books.
imported them and they made them directors.
She has read
they made them
literally
actors,
4
they made them
books
actresses,
ever.
and they were tasked with destroying Christianity, just as they were doing upon the European continent. I don't have time to tell you guys about World War II. Just assume that everything that they told you is incorrect and upside down. They're lying about what happened yesterday. They sure as hell are not telling us truth about what happened during World War II.
Wait.
And I
Who's the
just
good
don't
guy?
really care what you call me. It's time for everyone to wake up. And we're not getting all these files. Obviously, they are protecting a ton of people. The fact that you can't find like the Adelsons in here is completely ridiculous. The people that are still in power, like they're active agents in America today, are all being protected, which is why it was super interesting to see them sort of throw Peter Thiel under the bus. That was interesting. Like I said, you can trace this stuff through politics, through Hollywood, the Jewish occultist mystics that established these
3 were
industries.
picture books.
But
4.5.
Peter Thiel, his emails went up there, and it ain't good for JD Vance. I'll tell you that right
I did
away.
not know scientists were based like that. Candace Beta collab would go so hard. True. He's a Nazi too. Ian Carroll is the good guy.
I think this is
You're right.
plausibly the biggest scandal to come out of the.
Forgot.
I guess I should say the most consequential thing to come out of these emails that I can see right now. There's millions to go through, so we'll have more, and we'll be reporting on more. But JD Vance, he was kind of, they had him there, right? Like he's going to be running in 2028. He's not been leaning super into the Zionist stuff. He seems to be abstaining, has been quiet during the whole Epstein thing. It definitely didn't seem like he agreed with it. But everyone knows that Peter Thiel effectively funded JD Vance's career. He probably had something to do with JD Vance getting the deal with Netflix to do his book, A Hillbilly Elegy, I think it was called. And Peter Thiel, who was mentioned early on as being someone who was friends with Epstein, went on to Rogan at the end of last year and sort of intimated that he really didn't know Epstein that well, but spoke to him mainly just about math because he knew about taxes and how to avoid them. Take a listen.
I met Epstein a few times as well, and I think
How'd you get introduced?
it was Reid Hoffman in Silicon Valley introduced us in 2014, but it was basically, and I didn't check, didn't ask enough questions about it.
When you were introduced to him, how was he described to you?
He was described as one of the smartest tax people in the world,
Interesting.
and I
lithium brine.
probably was my moral
brine.
weakness that I.
Well, how could you have known back then? He had never been arrested.
No, this was 2014. It was post arrest.
Peter Thiel.
Also
Wait,
was-
this is Candace's goat.
The arrest was the first arrest, right?
Yeah,
Which was like
This is
2000.
Candace's goat.
Okay.
Didn't he put her in charge of one of his
Okay.
companies?
And so,
But you assume he didn't go to jail for that long. It
right.
was probably not as serious as alleged. There was certainly the illusion that there were all these other people that I trusted. Reid, who introduced us, was, he started LinkedIn. He was, maybe too focused on business networking, but
Right.
but I thought he always had good judgment in people.
When the went down and Epstein gets arrested for the second time, were you like, oh, well, there you go?
I've thought about it. I thought a lot about it as a result. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And thought about it, he did, because he was emailing Jeffrey Epstein a lot, meeting up with him a lot. Definitely sounds like they were very close, inviting him to the island. Basically, this guy's going to be here from Europe. Also, you should come this weekend. They were together all throughout New York, constantly messaging each other. It is not a good look. There is no question these two were friends. And I do not accept that the person who's effectively spying on all of us, he's got to deal with the military through Palantir, by the way. Should be clear.
He owns Candace Owens.
Also, Palantir boys were put onto Fort Washington
Originally.
Air Base in July. We'll get into that later. And now we're supposed to believe that he just like, I
True,
couldn't
Dr.
look in any
BWC,
further. I had no
true.
context to figure out what Epstein was accused of. And I decided to still be friends with him, despite all the allegations, despite him admitting to what he did, right? He caught a plea deal via Acosta, who was told to leave Epstein alone. That's if Acosta is to be believed, that's the reason why he had to basically give him a slap on the wrist. And we're supposed to believe Peter Thiel, with all of his resources, just went, trust me, bro, I'm not buying it. And this is now a major problem for JD Vance. It is.
Candace.
There's no other way to say it. JD Vance is going to have to answer for this. This is not going to be something he can wiggle around. And I don't think he is going to make a statement on Peter Thiel. I think that
now that she said it, finally,
that is going to be very interesting, the implications of that. But also interesting that they threw Peter Thiel under the bus. Because they're protecting the other homies. Like I said, I expect the Kushners to be in here. Obviously, his connections to the Mossad. I mean, there's a little bit. He's setting up meetings, Bibi Netanyahu, Ehud Barak's all over it. He's writing emails and making kind of some jokes, which suggest like about Robert Maxwell and things of that nature. But they've cleaned this up majorly.
Netanyahu,
I also expected
Barak,
to see some other names, which would bring us a little closer to solving the Charlie Kirk murder, in my opinion. So we're getting something. We are not getting anywhere near everything. And that's why Thomas Massie is demanding for there to be more of a release. And also these should be unredacted. If you're talking about murdering people, we should be allowed to see that. We should be able to see exactly who is sending all of these emails when you're speaking about children and the things that you are doing to children in ritualistic acts. Anyways, next thing I want to say, interestingly enough, is that last week on Thursday, the timing of this is incredible, but Andrew Colvett and alleged Mikey McCoy and his wife went down to meet at the White House.
The McCoy
and they wanted
thing.
the public to think that they were in Arizona. They ran this interview with Kash Patel on Charlie Kirk's show, which is supposed to be live every day. You can fake a live. You can make it a pre-record. But it's interesting that they were actually meeting with top brass at the White House. I'm looking for details about what that meeting was about, because I just need to know. There's a lot about pageantry in these emails. It seems like Jeffrey Epstein was practically picking these girls to win pageants. There's obviously a lot about his real estate empire, and they have conveniently redacted the names of some of these beauty queens, which I find to be a little bit suspicious. With what I know about Jeffrey Epstein and the way that he was moving with Jean-Luc
you don't know
Brunel
anything,
and going to these industries like Victoria's Secret,
the least reliable
like Miss Universe, and I think that's how Trump is caught up into it and is also being rinsed out of these files.
You're the dumbest person we could ask
through
about
these
any
organizations.
Dude, I clicked this because I knew it was going to be rage bait, and then I got rage baited by it. Like, what's wrong with me? Am I retarded? I just haven't slept. I'm just tired. You're raping kids. Don't be a stranger, says Benny. What the oh, right. Yeah, true. Because that's what she's saying.
We know this for a fact. Modeling organizations like M Model Management with Jean-Luc Brunel. And so I'm going to need that all redacted. I want to know who are all these pageant queens that he was speaking to. He was asking to see portfolios of women virtually at all of the schools in New York. He was basically running New York City. I want to know everything.
Which brings me to Erica Kirk, of New York City.
Because she made it clear that she first and foremost
you just
watched
have
JD
to make
Vance in
it
the White House. That was kind of a bizarre push at AmFest right away.
Claim,
and
the dumbest thing ever.
We have been working to verify her Fort Huachuca alibi.
Oh my gosh.
We're having some major problems.
Oh
More
my
about that when we get back from a quick sponsor break. All right, you guys, thanks to you, last year, Preborn helped rescue over 80,000 babies, and today you can help save even more. Every single day, thousands of women hear the same devastating lie that abortion is their only option, that they're alone, and that there's no hope. But everything changes the moment a mother in crisis walks into a Preborn Network clinic and sees her baby on an ultrasound. That one moment doubles her chance of choosing a summit 140 saving #250 and say the keyword baby, or visit preborn.com/Candace. Again, that's preborn.com/Candace. Also remind you guys about Nimi Skincare. You know I love them. One of the reasons that I have stayed with them is that it makes consistency really easy. There's so much noise around skincare, new launches, new routines, new promises, and most of it just encourages people to keep switching. I don't think that helps anyone in the long run. I stick with Nimi because it's terror. In fact,
holy shit!
Kind of are the terrorists.
I'm just still listening.
Being honest, and what the CIA's been up to, kind of are the terrorists. That's how you kill a million Iraqis by just lying and saying they're weapons of mass destruction. No, they just mass murdered people, but they are also destroying ancient sites. The reason for that is because you cannot, as they want to be, this is what the AI future is about, they want there to be no past, and they will control the ever present, right? You say this happened yesterday, they'll delete a file. It didn't happen yesterday anymore.
Stop.
So they want to go back and they want to destroy all of these relics. That's why there is this obsession with getting into Armenia, which they're working on right now. Iraq, Iran, that's exactly what I think Iran is another place where there's so much history, but they have not been successful in destroying the ancient temples, which show you that the Star of David,
my gosh,
it was never
so
associated with
stupid.
Judaism. Jews, please wake up. The Kiddush cup, that is the traditional
Jews.
symbol of Judaism. It even
Oh
says
my God, shut the fuck up. Jews, wake up. Jews, wake up. You're being tricked. Oh my. Holy stupid goy.
this on Wikipedia, that this did not emerge until the 17th century, right? 1666 was when that guy who was a mystic declared himself to be the Messiah. And they adopted this symbol because it's actually from Solomon's seal, to people that believed that Solomon's ring held power. And I want to show you this because they have done a very good job of destroying a lot of these relics of these Baal temples. They have not done a complete job. Baal is, they are making sacrifices to Baal. That is the sacrifice that these pagans are making with constant bloodshed of children.
You sound fucking crazy,
I want to show you this. I don't know if you have pulled this in yet, Skylar. Some of these relics, like in Baalbek, Lebanon.
You literally sound insane.
Yeah, here we go. This is still present today, but they're obviously, Israel is trying to take over Lebanon right now. That won't be here for a very long time. And then we have another Baal temple. Here you can see that Star of David, which is also all over Aleister Crowley, not a Jew, all over his books on ritualistic magic, is the quote-unquote Star of David. You have to know this. The symbolism means everything to them.
You can read what he thinks it is.
For the Jewish community, you're so diligent at learning history. It's sitting right there. Start with Sigmund Freud, something recent, if you will, and then just start working backward. That's kind of what I did when I recognized these fringe movements. The Frankist cult, long speculated that Jacob Frank was funded by the Rothschild family. Well, we certainly know Jeffrey Epstein was, according to him. He was funded by the Rothschild family. So all these rumors about the Rothschilds are probably
You were listening because, let's face it, you enjoy it. No, I really want to build a fucking brine shrimp. No, a brine, not shrimp, a brine evaporator thing so I can start using liquids in this game. And I need something in the background to play,
rumors.
you know?
They just have a lot of money and they pay people off. It's how you get these pastors to lie, these all across all religions that will lie and dissuade their people. And again, nobody can give you a reason as to why the Moroccan flag, the flag of Morocco, was a 6-pointed Star of David. Now it's 5 stars, but it was 6 stars. When the Alawite dynasty, I hope I'm saying that right. Saying that right. The Alawite dynasty, probably not saying it right. Began to take over. What have they been doing in Morocco, guys?
She's getting self-conscious. Let's go.
Aleister Crowley, why do you think they all traveled to Morocco? Going back to Macron, he loved Andre Gide.
Going back to...
They were molesting Muslim kids. That's the reason. And that still goes on today. If you're following the Brigitte story, right? It runs right through to Morocco. Anyways, just wanted to get that off because I feel that this is a very important episode because it's time for everybody to wake up around the world, okay? Turn around, the person next to you, the monotheistic faiths. They have all been infiltrated in one way or another by these Satanists. That's what they are. Cutting back into the Charlie Kirk story, something amazing, and I cannot believe I missed this, okay? So I suddenly thought, let me just try to work through actually every minute and every hour of the last 48.
It should also be remarked that every grade has its peculiar magical formula. Thus, the formula of abracadabra concerns us as men, principally because each of us represent the pentagram or microcosm, and our equilibration must therefore be with the hexagram or macrocosm. In other words, 5 degrees equals 6 degrees is the formula of the solar operation. But then 6 degrees equals 5 not degrees, I don't know, whatever the fuck. Is it copying that right? No, it's not. Okay, whatever.
8 hours leading up to
is the formula of the Marshall operation. And this reversal of the figures implies a very different work. In the former instance, the problem was to dissolve the microcosm in the macrocosm. But this other problem is to separate a particular force from the macrocosm. Just as a savage might hew out a flint axe from the deposits in a chalk cliff, similarly, an operation of Jupiter will be the nature of the equilibration of him with Venus. Its graphic formula will be 7 degrees equals 4, and there will be a word in which the character of this operation is described, just as abrahadabra describes the operation of the great work. It may be stated without unfairness as a rough general principle that the farther from the original equality are the two sides of the equation, the more difficult is the operation. Hexagram, it is U or V is the manifested sun himself. Wait. A is also the babe in the egg, thus produced. The quality of A is thus bisexual. It is the original being, Zeus, Arinothulus, Bacchus, Dyphus, or Baphomet. U or V is the manifested sun himself. Its number is 6. It refers, therefore, to the dual nature of the Logos as divine and human, the interlacing of the upright and averse triangles in the hexagram. It is the first number of sun, whose last number is 666, the number of man. The letter M exhibits the termination of this process. It is the hanged man of the tarot. The formation of the individual from the absolute is closed by his death. We see accordingly how is, on either system, the expression of dogma, which implies catastrophe in nature. It is cognate with the formula of the slain God, the resurrection, the ascension, and not implied in it. They are later inventions without basis in necessity. They may be described indeed as Freudian phantasms, conjured up by the fear of facing reality. To the Hindu, indeed, they are still less respectable. In his view, existence is essentially objectionable, and his principal concern is to invoke Siva to destroy the illusion, whose thrall is the cure of Manvantara. It's like, bitch, you don't even understand. You have no idea what the hexagram means when fucking Crowley is describing it, because it's like 1,000 things symbolically. It's the Christ, Sephiroth, symbolically. It's like he's using it in ritual magic. Yeah, I mean, you could go fucking read. If you opened a book, you could read about it, right? It's the banishing ritual on the floor. He's using it as a fucking banishing ritual. He's invoking. He's drawing the symbol of Saturn, and then the hexagram, the 6-pointed star, Jupiter, the 6-pointed star. You know, he's doing this. He's doing this. Look. So Saturn, Jupiter, Mercury. No, not Mercury. When is that? Pluto? Earth or Sun? Venus, Mercury, the moon. Okay, he's like using it in ritual. You know, he's explaining it. Trace the hexagram of Earth in the south, saying, Araita. This hexagram has the apex of the lower triangle. Oh, I'm full screen. I'm stupid. All right, I was trying to show this. I forgot. All right, I haven't slept. I was trying to show this. That's Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto, the Sun, or Earth, the Sun, Venus, Mercury, the Moon, right? Right? Okay. He's saying, trace the hexagram of Earth in the south, saying, Arita. This hexagram has the apex of the lower triangle pointing downward. It should be capable of inscription in a circle. Trace the hexagram of air in the west, saying, Arita. This hexagram is like that of Earth, but the bases of the triangles coincide, forming a diamond. Trace the hexagram of water in the north, saying, Ararita. This hexagram has the lower triangle placed above the upper, so that their apices coincide. Okay? It's not, you can't just say it's Moroccan. It's the Moroccan flag. They all go to Morocco to rape a kid. Like, what the fuck are you even saying, you stupid ass bitch? I mean, he is describing it as the fucking Christ Sephiroth. It's the dead and resurrected God. It's the Son himself embodied. It's the number of man and the divine. Anyway, next. That's why, like the Pope's got it. That's why, like, everyone has it. Yeah, also, okay. So, someone want to show her the Pope's robes then? I thought she's Catholic, right? The heck is going on with that? Huh? She gets the vibe of that anyway? Yeah, you're right. You're right. Anyway, all right, back to this. Can she finish?
September 10th for both Erica and Charlie. I started with Charlie.
She can't read is a problem. Yeah,
just trying to confirm what had been said, public statements that were made from people in his inner circle about his whereabouts, also Erica's whereabouts. And unbelievably, I did not catch this, probably because nobody actually watches or listens to Josh Hammer.
Or you.
But he came out once I released the text message. I said it was on September 8th that he texted and said, I'm abandoning the pro-Israel cause. Well, Josh Hammer came out and clarified that actually Charlie sent that text message on September 9th, the day before he died. Here's what Josh Hammer said in his own words. Take a listen.
Candace Owens seized on this totally out of context screenshot of Charlie Kirk being very upset that a Jewish donor was withholding his $2 million donation. And she used this as an attempt to say, oh, Josh Hammer's lying, that Charlie Kirk remained pro-Israel until his final moments. Yeah. But she's also holding aside that 2 hours after this screenshot, if you look at the timestamps, 2 hours after that, I and a few others were in a small Zoom chat, a small Zoom call with Charlie Kirk the night before he was killed that Charlie organized.
Maybe she extrapolated it based on even more esoteric texts than that. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Maybe she's even more esoteric than we are. Wait a second. What if we look like idiots because she's like 5 steps ahead of us? Now I look like a goofball? Oh, hell no.
Charlie organized this Zoom call for the express purpose of trying to make sure that he had all the best answers, the best messaging advice for how to speak about Jewish-Christian relations and the Israel question on college campuses.
Okay, first and foremost, I just want to say he's so full of crap. The idea that Charlie had just gotten back from Korea. I was like, oh, please help me, Josh Hammer. You're a complete idiot. Please help me learn how to speak to college students. Josh Hammer and a rabbi who lives in Israel. Like, there was nobody else available. What time it must have been in Israel for him to organize this call? Why is he doing it with this rabbi? Was it Wojcicki, whatever his last name is?
They'd have been sending her all this most esoteric stuff.
Who you're apparently writing a Shabbat Shalom book with. It seems a little suspect. So you're actually clarifying for us something that's amazing. This is a stunning admission, okay? Because we know that when Charlie got off of this phone call, he texts that evening a text message to Dan Flood and Andrew Colbert saying, they're going to kill me. You should have left it at September 8th because now the September 9th schedule is looking a little bit suspect. Let's pull that up. I want you guys to see this. Let's go to September 9th first, okay? So we know, which I've been able to confirm, that Charlie had an appearance in the Will Kane show. That's from his TPUSA office. Erica said that Charlie had the call with Josh Hammer around this time. This is, guys, just so you know, this is Arizona time, okay? That she was getting her nails done around this time. That's what she told me in person. Well, 3:54 p.m., she must have been, she's referring to the chat. Charlie sends out that text message regarding leaving the pro-Israel cause. 6 o'clock p.m., again, this is according to Josh Hammer, because he says 2 hours later. Which would have been 5:54 p.m., 6 o'clock p.m., Josh Hammer and this rabbi that literally is based in Israel have a Zoom call with Charlie. So he sends a message, the chat explodes, people are pulling out their money. He's saying, I have no choice to abandon the pro-Israel cause. Then this rabbi stays up and Josh Hammer stays up. They have a call with Charlie about talking points to do what he's done his entire career because he doesn't know how to do this himself. He's turning to Josh Hammer, who...
Josh
he does
Hammer's
not have a great relationship with to help him massage out his
Hammer
points. Okay.
Is the GOAT.
He's getting messages from Bob Shillman. Everyone's pulling out their money. And then we know that after that, he's going to have dinner with Erica and the kids and a priest to pray over him, according to Erica. We are told that that prayer is related to a Jezebel article that published. By the way, I want to say, I actually don't believe that at all. I'm just going to put that out there. like, just because of my relationship with Charlie and how much we texted about ridiculous articles and laughed at them, for me to think that suddenly on some feminist website somebody wrote something saying they bought an Etsy spell that would send him so over the edge that he would call a priest doesn't pass the sniff test for me. But we just looking at the schedule. He's fighting with Jewish donors. They're taking out his money. Bob Shulman takes out his money.
Wait, how
he
does
then
this work?
schedules this call with a rabbi and Josh Hammer. No, they were talking him off of the cliff. He's in the chat. He's saying, I want Candace back. Confirmed. This happened on September 9th now. I want Candace back. I want to have her. He's also texting other people saying, I want to have Candace back.
Oh my gosh.
On September 9th.
Oh my gosh, she's making it about her?
A panic call. Come on, just talk.
They
Let's talk
killed
through
him
this. Don't bring
because he was going to talk to Candace.
Let's talk through this. These aren't
Holy shit, that's what it was.
To debate with a rabbi? Hey, help me debate. This is asinine. They want us to believe he needed a rabbi, a priest, and a pastor in the last 24 hours of his life, all helping him with talking points. Okay. So then get that schedule back up. He ends this call. He has to have dinner in this hour, which I confirmed. He did have dinner with his family and the priest to pray over him, this priest, at dinner. And then he messages Dan Flood and Andrew and says they're going to kill me. But he was obviously talking about the trannies. His day was being impacted by Israel. He was referring to Israel when he said that. He was referring to Israel. And I have one more thing to tell you. And this is really going to knock your socks off. This is crazy. I've clocked Erica on another lie. A big lie. I went back to my source. Remember I told you when I broke the story that she had to admit that he texted Dan Flood. First she said, he never texted Dan Flood or whatever. I have his phone. And then I was like, Andrew Colvett told me, and my source had access to Dan Flood's messages. Well, Dan Flood, then she admitted he did receive a message, but she said she received that message on
the pump
chat
goes
that clears,
like this,
like a Telegram chat. Well, guess what? I went back to that source and they said it was an iMessage. She's lying. Let me say that again for you. She's now twice lied about this Dan Flood message. First, she said it didn't exist. Then she said maybe it did exist, but actually it was on Telegram, which Charlie had set to clear, and that's why she never saw it. That's a lie. It was sent an iMessage between him and Dan Flood, according to my source, who I trust a lot more than I trust Erica, because I've clocked her on too many big lies. So, not okay. I'll take you back to the 8th. Let's go to the 8th, September 8th, and I'm going to tell you what's problematic. I had to put together what people said happened on this day, and here's what I've been able to confirm thus far. I have from 10 o'clock a.m. to 11 o'clock a.m., Charlie appears from his home studio. Again, this is all reflecting Arizona local time. On the Charlie Kirk show, that's a full hour on the Salem network. Then Erica told me that she woke up Charlie from his nap. Makes sense because he had just gotten back late the night before from Korea. Okay. Makes sense that he would be napping. She says she woke him up from a nap for his Fox News hit. Again, that's just according to Erica. But the timing of him, the idea of him sleeping at this time makes sense to me, is what I'm saying. Then we know Charlie Kirk appears from his home studio on the Ingram Angle. And the show, he shoots it from his house. So he's not going to the office because he's exhausted and jet lag. This is also the day that the article appears in Jezebel regarding that witch's curse. At 5:24 p.m., Erica's alibi to me was that she was just arriving back home, presumably with groceries, but just arriving back home. At 6:06 p.m., she texts Charlie and says dinner is ready. And per Frank, and I want you to listen to what Frank Turek says here. He says that he went on a walk with Charlie this day at 8 o'clock p.m. He says that earlier in the day, he had been with Charlie, but they then went on this long walk, again, because he needed advice about how to debate. I don't know what happened. Charlie suddenly was a day old at debates.
Dude, why does she do that with her fucking
This sounds like the beginning of a joke.
nose?
A pastor, a priest, and a rabbi.
I hate her.
It's just, it literally sounds like the beginning of a joke. A pastor, a priest, and a rabbi walked into a bar. Like, this is what they're all saying, though. Listen to what Frank Turek says on Megyn Kelly's show.
You know, the last walk we went on, Megan, was Monday night. So the terrible day was Wednesday. And so we spent some time Monday, and then we both went to dinner. He wanted to have dinner with the family, he's a family man. So he said, hey, can you come back at about 8? We'll go on a walk. I said, yeah, okay. So I came back down at 8, and I texted him. I said, okay, I'm about here. He said, coming out. And then a minute later, he said, shortly, Gigi just got up. So he was obviously taking care of the baby, taking care of his daughter. because that's the kind of person he was. And then we went on this long walk, and there were two major issues that kept coming up that he wanted to be better
They're
at.
creeping me out.
He then goes on to say that Charlie was asking for him advice for how to speak to the college kids about questions about Christ. So again, he's got so many spiritual advisors to help him contend with this. You would think they might have different answers because you got the rabbi doesn't believe in Christ, but he needs to consult him about debate questions. And then he's got Frank Turek, who does believe in Christ. We got the priest who, anyways, it's all very confusing. But the interesting part that from that statement is that he says that Charlie had to deal with the kids. Now, I'm not trying to read too much into it, but if he's late coming out for this walk because he has to deal, Gigi got up and he's got to deal with, because he's a great dad. Wasn't Erica home? Couldn't Erica have gotten him back down if you had an appointment to make? Perhaps, maybe she was like, no, it's your turn, you deal with it. But the problem I'm having is I have now confirmed with people that live where they live, because they live in a building, that they all saw Charlie. They also saw Charlie on a walk. I have one person who lives there. She ran into Charlie, and he certainly was on a walk, not with Frank Turek, with a tall person who she does not recognize. Charlie stopped. They spoke about her dog, and then he told her, like, I'm starting my tour tomorrow. They had a brief chat. Got that on record statement. Now, it's possible Charlie was at first walking with Frank, and Frank then left. So I'm not dismissing that as in Frank's lying, but I am just noting that the person who confirmed they saw Charlie, he confirmed that they saw Charlie and where they saw Charlie and Erica eating on the 9th. Seeing Charlie in an elevator, everything about Charlie is adding up. I cannot get a single person to confirm that they saw Erica, who's apparently out and about. I then thought, wouldn't it make sense? She screams in the middle of a parking lot. She screams in the middle of a doctor's office. Everybody kind of knows where they were when Charlie got shot. Okay, if this doctor's office had people in it, there's going to be someone who said, hey, I heard a giant scream at my doctor's office, even if they didn't see her. And then I looked at my phone, and 15 minutes later, I learned that Charlie got shot.
Is she going to say that she's in Fort
She also says that she
Huachuca?
collapsed in the parking lot.
Because
no
of
one
this?
thus far has seen that. Nobody in her building has and they all know each other. It's a building. They know Mikey McCoy. People have said, I've seen Mikey McCoy on this date. Blah, blah, blah.
Bro? What?
No one can confirm that they saw Erica on this date where
Erica
she was behaving super shady and just giving me a very straightforward alibi and pretending like they didn't understand the instructions of this alibi for Fort Huachuca.
She can't find someone that
Something
saw
else
her?
was going on. I don't buy any of these stories. I don't buy
thinks
Charlie
she's
suddenly
at
needed
Fort
advice
Huachuca?
from a pastor, a priest, and a rabbi. It sounds ridiculous. Okay?
How is? Did you know Charlie Kirk?
I think Charlie was fearful of his life. I don't think
What the fuck do you mean? That makes more sense for him than anyone else on Earth. Like,
was about a Jezebel curse. I think everything that was going on in his day reveals that Charlie was stressed out about pressure that was being put on him regarding Israel. And he was instructing to his team that he was done with them and he was happy to lose money. So it would not track that then, after dealing with this, having a call with the rabbi who should be asleep in Israel, but is staying up to give you advice on a debate, like this couldn't have been a frickin' email, it would follow that he then sent to Andrew Colvett and Dan Flood that they, meaning the Jews, were going to kill him. That's what I believe. That's what I believe happened on that day.
You anti-Semitic asshole.
As far as why Erica is lying and covering for Dan Flood, we're gonna need to get to the bottom of that. These are not little lies; these are huge lies. These are big lies. She's covering up for bad people, and doesn't make any sense. She's welcoming bad people into the foray of Turning Point USA,
dude,
for money.
It was a front for fucking Jewish Zionist propaganda for the last 10 years, you fucking idiots. Bad people. That's all it was. That's the whole thing. That was like the entire operation when Charlie ran it. You fucking idiot. What is wrong with this bitch?
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And I don't give a shit
it reignited
about who wants
Beyblade.
to cut me on Instagram and say, oh my God, the heart, I can't believe it. Oh my God, how could you? How could you? How could you? How could any of you continue to stand by this sort of stuff? And this the society that we live in, where good men are being cut down, killed, children are being harmed, people are lying about who Charlie was, what he was going through in the final days.
That's you.
And look up at the people who still have a soul and question their motives.
Mambo Mafia
If you
feels
are,
for you. Thank you,
giving
Kokichi.
into money, and the rest of you guys
Should we move
are
on? Should we do something else?
joining
This
team
sucks.
ball worship. That's
I
cool.
can't work on the Brian thing.
The rest of us, we'd rather not. Take a brief break, and we'll get to some of your comments.
I'm team ball.
All right, you guys, for just $25 a month, Pure Talk gives you unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data. Now compare that
ball,
to Big
bitch.
Wireless. They'd rather charge your family hundreds every month. Pure Talk is an American wireless company who supports our veterans and invests in a U.S.-only customer service team so that when you call, you are talking to someone right here at home. Pure Talk uses the same towers as the big carriers, so enjoy superior.
I love ball worship, especially when they get the cock, too. Good one. Good one. Made me cack. Not gonna lie. All right, next.